स्वादयन्निह सर्वेषाम् त्रय्यन्तार्थम् सुदुर्ग्रहम् स्तोत्रयामास योगीन्द्रः तम् वन्दे यामुनाह्वयम्। नमो नमो यामुनाय यामुनाय नमो नमः। नमो नमो यामुनाय यामुनाय नमो नमः। यत्पदाम्भोरुहध्यान विध्वस्ताशेषकल्मषः वस्तुतामुपयातोऽहम् यामुनेयम् नमामि तम्। स्वधर्मज्ञानवैराग्य साध्यभक्त्येकगोचरः नारायणः परम् ब्रह्म गीताशास्त्रे समीरितः। श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्यः कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्ताम् सदा हृदि।
Coming back to the 50th paragraph. So, Saukaryasya. Atra Anudharanam. Saukasya atra Anudharanam Purva Vukta Anuvadata Jnapanartham. Purva Vukta Anuvadata Jnapanartham. It should not be split in different ways also, because it's possible sometimes. Then Saukarya Shabdena atra Sukham Bandhat Pramuchyate. Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, 3rd verse. Iti asya hetuhu darshitaha. The verse from Gita Sangraha contains Saukaryam, the convenience, the easiness. The translation says the ease with which. So Saukaryam. So the Bhakti Yoga is to be practiced with ease. Saukaryam is convenient, but this is different from Sukham. Look at the spelling, that is very different. Saukaryam is different from Sukham. It is convenient, but it is not a pleasure. Here Saukaryam atra, here Anudharanam. Anudharanam is, it is not taken up for consideration. But I mean for serious consideration, but it is just to remind us. It is to remind us. Jnapanartham, last word in the sentence. Jnapanartham, in order to remind us. Purvokta Anuvadata, the translation of the previous words, meaning the 8th verse and so on. The 8th or the other previous verses, 7, 6, 5, 4. So Saukaryam, now Gitartha Sangraha gives us the steps of these three disciplines, namely the discipline of action, discipline of wisdom, and the discipline of bhakti, devotion. Gitartha Sangraha throws light on the easy steps to follow all this. Because sometimes by reading the literal translation of the Bhagavad Gita, especially the words of Arjuna and words of Lord Krishna, we may get confused. Therefore, a clarity is given in the verses of Gitartha Sangraha. And Gitartha Sangraha Raksha supports that clarity. So here, so Saukarya Shabdena, what do you mean by the first sentence is Saukaryasya, yes, Nyeyaha saha nitya sannyasi yo na dveshti na kankshati, and so on. So that is about the recluse, rather even Sthita Prajna, a man of steadfast mind. Now here Saukaryasya, the word Saukaryam though it means easy, convenient, here it is meant as sukham, a pleasure to follow. It's a pleasure to, for example, we all now enjoy the reading of the Bhagavad Gita, especially Gita Sangraha, the import of the Bhagavad Gita. In spite of the dryness of the subject, which I would rather say, we may not be able to sustain interest unless we have deep involvement. And therefore, Saukarya Shabdena, so Saukaryasya atra anudharanam in the sense, the Saukarya does not mean the convenience here. That's the meaning. So Saukarya Shabdena atra, by the word called Saukaryam, atra here, Sukham Bandhat Pramuchate. Now, Bandha, attachment. You can also say the attachment towards, especially relatives, say friends also. So Bandhat from the what you call fetters, Fetters, from the chained position, Sukham Pramuchate. The spiritual bliss is released, is well released, Pramuchate. Meaning, when we get out of the chain, we feel very happy. And of course, we will see the full words of the Bhagavad Gita a little later after we finish this paragraph, because there are at least 2 times the quotation of the same chapter, 5, 5.3, 5.6, and 5.8. 5.8 maybe almost all the words of 8th verse of the 5th chapter. And all these quotations are what we call the introduction of the part of the introduction to Bhakti Yoga. So here Sukham Bandhat Pramuchate, Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, 3rd verse. Iti asya hetuhu darshita. Now, the convenience comes out of pleasure. So, ityasya hetuhu, the reason, darshita has shown. Iti asya hetuhu darshita. Then shaigriyam tu. What is fast? What is the speedy aspect? Yoga yukto munir brahma nachirena adhigacchati. Gita, Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, 6th verse. Shaigriyam meaning, Shigrasya bhavaha shaigriyam, the quality of the quickness, the speed, the velocity, that's called shaigriyam. It is not shaugriyam, I think it's a wrong spelling in Sanskrit, in English also. It is SAI, not SAU. Look at the original Gita Sangraha of Yamunacharya, sloka number 9. Right. This is the right spelling. So here, Shaigriyam tu, the quickness is Yoga Yuktaha, a person, an individual soul who is associated with the yogas, namely Karma, Jnana, Bhakti, and Prapatti. I won't exclude any of them, any of the 4, because as you know very well, they are interrelated, interlinked. They cannot be divorced from each other. And therefore, yoga yuktaha will mean. We also defined yoga earlier. Please remember the definition of yoga. So, yoga yuktaha is what you call a person associated with these 4 yogas. Munihi, yoga yukto munihi, a sage. Again, S-E-E-R, meaning, seer meaning, they are called mantra drashtaraha in Sanskrit. They can see the words in flesh and blood. They can see we see them in what we call 2D form. They can see it in 3D form. They can see it what you call in a what you call physical figure. The mantras can talk to the sages. The spells, we understand only the meaning, but whereas the mantras will expose the meaning to the sages by themselves. And that is the beauty here of Munihi. Munihi is actually, the word Munihi comes out of meditation. Mananath Munihi, because he is always thinking of the Lord, or all these 4 yogas, then it's called Munihi. And sometimes in Tamil, the Munihi refers to the anger of the sage. But as you know, a sage has to control his anger along with other emotions also. And he must have control over sense organs. And therefore, we call him Samyami in the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise called Sthita Prajnaha in the Bhagavad Gita. A person of firm intellect is called Munihi. Here it is Munihi. Yoga Yuktaha Munihi. Yoga Yukto Munihi. Nachirena Brahma Adhigacchati. So transpose these words like this, then you can understand the meaning very easily. So Nachirena, quickly. That Nachirena is the meaning of that word Shaigriam. Shaigriam. So Nachirena, not for so long a time. That means very early. Adhigacchati Brahma. Brahma Adhigacchati. There are 2 shades of meaning for Adhigacchati. Brahma Adhigacchati means he will reach the Lord. That individual soul will reach, number 1. Number 2, he will understand the Lord. Adhigacchati, Adhigam, Sanskrit, the gam dhatu, meaning gach is there. And Adhigam is to reach, either to go to an abode of Lord or understand. To understand him also. Realize him, meaning the Jnana Yoga is complete. And Jnana Yoga will be very quickly achieved by the sage who is always associated with these 4 yogas. So Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, 6th verse. And we will also see the full verse with the help of Keshavdas Swami. Iti Uktam, thus it is said. Atra here, Vidha Shabdaha. Now it is given as Vidhaha. Vidhaha. So Vidha Shabdaha. Vidha Shabda is in plural here. Bahuvachanam. So Shabda is word, Vidha is the type, variety. Iti Kartavyata Paraha. Now, in all the subdivisions of the 4 yogas, especially here I can say, because we are going through the 5th chapter, that is first 6. We are still in the initial stage, namely Karma Yoga. We are still in the discipline of action only. We are not gone beyond this. Because even in the Karma Yoga, we understand that it is mixed with Jnana and Bhakti. Unless we have Bhakti, we cannot practice Karma and Jnana, and vice versa also. So all the 3 are together. So Vidha will be different varieties of this kind of action, yoga of action. And that will be what we call Kartavyata Paraha. Paraha meaning engaged, busy. So the individual soul will be busy in Kartavyata, doing the duty. Though Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga are involved in Karma Yoga, the most important aspect is Karma Yoga, and therefore the individual soul will concentrate more on karma, the action, than on jnana and bhakti. He cannot, of course, give up jnana and bhakti. He cannot dismiss jnana and bhakti, but he will have the understanding why he does the karma, why does he does the action, and also he realizes that he is not the doer. And thirdly, bhakti. In case of bhakti, because he has to devote himself to the action, and therefore the action will be performed well. My college principal used to say, you rededicate yourself to the profession. He always insists on rededication. Yes, one of the principals was very aggressive to tell us all these things. Here, atra vida shabdah iti kartavyata paraha. Iti kartavyata paraha is whatever has been prescribed in the scriptures as injunctions, and then individual soul is completely busy with doing those actions. Tatha, I think the word tatha will have here. A long vowel, tatha. Naiva kinchit karomi. So this is what we understood earlier. Tatha. Tatha will be tatha, a long vowel. The fifth chapter, 8th verse says, the understanding, namely the understanding, that I don't do anything. I do nothing. Naiva kinchit karomi. I do nothing. Kinchit is something. Karomi I do. Naiva karomi, I never do something. Meaning I never do anything. I never do. I do nothing ever. I do nothing ever. Yeah. So that is, so now, ityadehe. So you get support from so many verses from the 5th chapter. So ityadehe. Adhishtika. Now there is a foundation. The foundation is being built for karma yoga, jnana, bhakti, and prapatti. Yataha. Now again, it's a quotation from the 5th chapter, 8th verse. Maybe we will be fully seeing the verse after this 10th sentence. So yataha because saukaryat shaigriyat cha karma yoga eva shreyan ataha tat apekshitam shrunu. Again, it is Gita Bhashyam. The Gita Bhashyam on 8th verse. It is not the quotation from the Bhagavad Gita Bhashyam. And it is on the 8th verse. The meaning, yataha because, again the spelling mistake in Sanskrit is S-A-U. It is not S-A-I. Yeah, in Sanskrit also. Right. Very good. Very good. So Saukaryat Shaigriyat. So because of the convenience and the fast speed with which Karma Yoga is being done, that is better. That is better. Shreyan is better. Ataha, therefore, Tat Apekshitam Shrinu. So please listen to me. Shrinu. Shrinu means please lend your ears. Tat Apekshitam, which has been very much wanted. Very much wanted. That is, though the individual soul may think that only Jnana Yoga or only Bhakti Yoga or only Prapatti Yoga or combination of two of these three will do. If he thinks it will do, it will not do. That is the. So again, Karma Yoga is attached with the more important, rather the most importance given, most prominent position is given, prominent position is given, and therefore Karma Yoga cannot be given up in place of Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Of course, Prapatti Yoga is the easiest means, or rather trick to uh, get the affection of the Lord. But the Sri Bhashyam says Karma Yoga is very important. And we understand at the ripe age of 120, in the last days of Sri Ramanujacharya, though he could not get up easily, quickly, that's what we understand now. Saukaryat, Shaigriat. A very old elderly person cannot stand up from his seat very quickly, nor very conveniently. It's very inconvenient to get up. So the limbs are not working properly. They are not under his control. They have become decrepit, very much aged. And then in spite of it, we understand that Sri Ramanujacharya offered libation of water, argyam, we say argyam, Arghyyam, argyam, the libation of water to the sun god, especially we say, or of course Lord Sriman Narayana, 3 times a day, as we say, Sri Sandhya. Of course, the middle one is what we call Madhyanikam, the noon duty. Otherwise, we say morning twilight worship, the noon duty, and the evening twilight worship. In the morning time, before sunrise, 3 times argyam must be offered. Waters must be offered with the help of the spell Gayatri. The Gayatri mantra with either 3 quarters or 4 quarters. 3 quarters of 8 or 4 quarters of 6. Totally 24. Along with the Pranava Akshara in the beginning. Then 2 times in the noon duty. And 3 times again in the afternoon. Before sunset. So these 3 times, in these 3 times, Sri Ramanujacharya got up and offered. It is not. It was very difficult for him to get up. He lived the full life of 120 years meant for a human being. Though we say 100 years, Shatamanam Bhavati, Tatayuh Purushas Shatendriya, Ayush Evendriye Pratitishati. This is the Ashirvada mantra, the blessing spell for youngsters from elders. But again, Ramanujacharya lived 120 years. So, that's what we say. See, here that means Anushtanam is very important. The discipline of yoga is very important. Generally, some people perform the japa of Sandhya Vandana, Gayatri japa of Sandhya Vandana. Some people sit down and do. In the morning and the afternoon, we should stand up. And in the evening, we should sit down, facing the west. In the morning, we have to face the east. And in the afternoon, we must face the north. But we have to stand all the while. But whereas you can sit and do. And again, the condition will be 1008 Gayatris must be recited. 1008. Or a minimum of 108. Now we have reduced it to 28. or sometimes 10 also, according to Shankaracharya's request. 10, at least 10. So coming to this one, so sitting and standing, when to sit and when to stand, Ramanujacharya followed. So coming to this paragraph, last sentence of the 50th paragraph, so that will be Avatarika. So this is only an introduction to the 5th chapter. This is only an introduction to the 5th chapter. Much more follows. It is thus. Then akatritva anusandhana prakara shabdaha api etat padaha. Now, after the actions give us up, that's more. Please understand this way. We don't give up the action. The actions will give us up. They will get away. So when that is the case, then we must always meditate that we are not the doers. So akartratva anusandhanam. Anusandhanam is thinking over and over again to realize that we are not doing anything. Only Lord does everything. So akartratva, not doing it. Anusandhana, we must always remind ourselves, remember and realize that he is the doer. And that will be what you call prakara, the method. And that shabda word, api etat para. Now, while we do the action discipline, when we perform the action as a discipline, we may have convenience and we may do it fast. So this the speed and the convenience with which we perform the action is, of course, is not concerned with us at all, because we are not the doer. Maybe he makes us do quickly. He makes us do conveniently. Now, one small incident that incident in the sense the requirement. Suppose we don't take along with us while we go somewhere else out of the house, and then we have to perform those duties, Sandhya Vandana or any other Anushtana there. We require some material like a pot, a vessel, and with the clean water, either from the well or a river or something else. When we find that all conveniences are there, all facilities are provided to us, so that will be the blessing of the Lord. And suppose I inquire whether there is a vessel to perform Sandhya Vandanam or Madhyanikam or Sayam Sandhya, Pratha Sandhya, Sayam Sandhya, I find a very smallest vessel given to me. The water in which it is not enough for me to perform Sandhya. Then again I have to fill up the small vessel with the water again and again and finish the duty. Why I say this is inconvenient. You have to fetch water again and again. You have to ask water from the other people. You become dependent, too much dependent on. So you have to depend on. So you have to find out whether the vessel is clean. So please remember, we have been always hygienic in character. We never, by achara, by orthodoxy, we never give up the cleanliness. Many people think that we are all dirty in habits. No, we have been using a lot of water. Many people say that we require a lot of water to use every day. Unless there is this convenience, then the Anushtana cannot be performed. Everything involves water. lot of water, and a lot of good water, pure water. Yeah, that is the it's what we call. This is only an introduction to the 5th chapter from the Gita Bhashyam, referring to the 5th chapter, in the 9th verse of the Gita Sangraha. So Nyayaha, okay, this is 5.3. Let us go one by one. So Nyayaha Saha Nitya Sannyasi Yonadveshti Nakamshati Nirdvandohi Mahabaho Sukham Bandhat Pramuchate. So the last line has been given in the commentary. So he easily overcomes the material bondage and is completely liberated. Sukham easily, bandhat from the bondage of birth and death, pramuchate is being released. So number one, nyayaha. Nyayaha is a person to be known. That is a relationship between the Supreme Soul and the individual soul. Jnata is in the individual soul. Nyayaha is the Supreme Soul. Nyayaha meaning one who has to be understood, one who has to be realized, one who has to be known. So Nyayaha. Saha, he. So who is that? The Supreme Soul. The Sa has got Visarga, and because of conjunction it is dropped. So Nitya Sannyasi, so he will be a monk forever. Sannyasi meaning he has given up attachment. So as the Lord of the universe, he has no what we call botheration. He has no botheration from the created world. Nothing bothers him. Therefore, sannyas. It is not a question of completely giving up the attachment. He is very much, Lord is attached very much. He is in love with the creation. He is ready to protect all the people. And therefore, a sannyasi will of course care about the devotees. So here also he does it. Again, yona dveshti na kankshati. Again, we compare the Supreme Soul to an individual soul who should become as good as the Supreme Soul. Namely, both the individual soul and the Supreme Soul should have these qualities, namely in the second line, said in second line, second quarter. Yo yaha who na dveshti, doesn't hate. Dveshti is hating. He doesn't hate. Na kankshati, does not expect, does not possess any expectation from others. So he doesn't antagonize others. He doesn't become enemy to others, nor he expects something from others. Na kankshati. Then nirdvandvaha. So nirdvandvaha is free from all dualities. Yeah, the pairs of opposites. Pairs of nirdvandvaha. Meaning, already the word or the very famous quotation from the second chapter is Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labhav jaya jayav. This is what we call nirdvandvaha. Same disposition, same equanimity of mind towards the pleasure and pain. Sukha dukkhe. The victory and the defeat. Jaya jaya. And then labha labha, the profit and the loss. It is very difficult to practice this. So nirdvandva. So dvandva is not there, pairing is not there. Pairing. He indeed, now Mahabaho is an address to Arjuna. O man of great strength, Mahabaho. Sukham bandhat pramuchate. So only if you become Nitya Sannyasi, na dveshti, na kankshati, nirdvandvaha, then you are released from the birth the cycle of birth and death. Sukham bandhat pramuchya. So this is the number 3 of the 5th chapter. We go to number 6. This is 6. Okay. Sanyasastu mahabaho dukkham aptum ayogataha yoga yukto munir brahma na chirenadhi gacchati. The second half has been already quoted in the Gita Sangara Raksha, and then the here sanyasastu mahabaho dukkham aptum ayogataha. Sanyasastu, not sanyasastu, sanyasastu. A recluse will be, a monk will be, a person who has rejected everything. Hey Mahabaho, O Arjuna, dukkham aptum ayogataha. He is not eligible, he is not ready, he doesn't get any suffering. So he is not affected by unhappiness. Dukkham aptum, to get the aptum, to get dukkham, unhappiness, the sadness, the melancholy. So ayogataha, even when he is away, he has not got the yoga with the Lord. So ayogataha, even when he is aloof, because of his ayogata of the world, all the other living beings and materials of the world. So when he is not attached to the world, then he has no suffering. He is not unhappy. And Yoga Yukto Munihi, that we saw earlier. We go to number 5, 8. And again, the previous translation, number 5, 6, we'll go to the translation. English translation. Merely renouncing all activities yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. So that is also another shade of meaning. That is sannyasaha, what you call the renouncing all activities. It is not enough, and that will not give the happiness, but only engaging in the devotional service of the Lord. That's what I meant as separated from the Lord. Ayogataha. Ayogataha. It also means separated from the world, the rest of the world. So it is, if it is negative, it is ayogataha dukkham aptum. So if it is divorced from the rest of the world, he becomes unhappy. If he is associated with the Lord, then he becomes very happy. That's what the first half. So we go to number 5, 8. I think I am also clear in the presentation, therefore. So here 5, 8 is very easy to understand. Naiva kinchit karomi. I don't do anything. Yukto manyeta tattvavit. Tattvavit. A man who understands the truth. Tattvavit. Tattva, the truth, with one who knows. The knower of truth. That is here what you call the divine consciousness. Manyeta, may think. Yukto, it is given as engaged here, but Yukto will be in union with the Lord, in union with the Supreme Soul. So he will think that Naiva Kinchit Karomi. I am not doing anything. Whereas he has been doing what we call Pashyan, looking, Shrinvan, hearing, Prishan, touching, Jigran, smelling, Asnan, eating or enjoying the food, then Gachan, moving here and there, Swapan, sleeping, Shwasan, breathing. So all these are all called the activities that we perform. But again, we are not the performers. Always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. That's very easy to understand. And you will find that the beauty here is all the words are in what we call present continuous tense, as it is in English verbal form. But in Sanskrit, they are all nouns. They are all nouns made out of verbal root. That is the beauty in grammar in Sanskrit. Yeah, gerunds. Okay, good. Gerund. Called, so you say doing. That's what we are seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving, sleeping, and breathing.
So I appreciated this particular commentary because he pointed out some verses. Vedanta Deshika pointed out some verses in the 5th chapter which very clearly state that the individual soul is not the doer. It's very clearly stated. So so it's not possible to refute this idea. So I think that was the main takeaway that I had from today's class. And as was being stated by others, it's a repetition. You know, we've heard this idea, this doctrine before, that we're not the doer. So that's what I basically took from this class. There's this quotation here,
So,
and it
Padma
says,
Purana. Okay.
yeah,
Sampradaya vihinaye mantraste viphala mata atak kalau bhavishyanti chatvara sampradaya Shri Brahma Rudra Shankanaka Vaishnavaha Chiti Pavanaha Chatvara Aste Kalau Bhavya Hi Utkale Purushottama.
right. So the idea in this quotation. Now, the interesting thing is that this is being quoted by a Gaudiya Acharya, Baladev Vidyabhushana, in the mid-18th century. But we don't find these verses in any edition of Padma Purana that we can find today. So it may have been lost, or it may be an interpolation. But in any case, this we're trying to understand what he means mostly by the first line. He says that mantras which are without any sampradaya or tradition are considered fruitless. They will give no fruit. So does it mean that you have to take a diksha of a mantra upadesha from a guru, otherwise that mantra is not effective? Or does it mean that you can read a mantra, you can hear a mantra about a mantra which belongs to a particular sampradaya or tradition, and that mantra itself has some value, has some power in itself? This is a question. So people will say, if you want to use a mantra, you should approach an acharya, and you should get the initiation from the diksha from in that mantra, and explanation also mantra artha from the acharya, and only then the mantra will be useful. But another person may say that mantra is used by this group, this bona fide group, this Sri Sampradaya uses, or Madhva Sampradaya uses. So it is a good mantra anybody can use, even without directly hearing from an acharya. What's your opinion?
This is what we understood today. A kalakshepa, spending of the time usually with the help of the preceptor is more effective than what we do as an individual study. Swadhyaya as the fourth step in a day. Make a self-study. If we are initiated by a preceptor, then the mantras we say open up their meanings. Whereas when we don't have a preceptor, we want to teach ourselves like as you said, Ekalaiva of Dronacharya, then we have to abruptly stop somewhere, and we won't have all the benefits which the preceptor accords to us. Again, today there was a very serious sentence saying, if I think that is also there. Without a preceptor, it will learn. The vidya, the wisdom is never sustained, and therefore, by the rather wrongdoings, a person in the next birth is born as a lame person or a one-eyed person, a blind person. That is the immediate effect of course, doing something wrong without the because he is without the advice of the preceptor.
Of course, you gave the example of Ekalavya, who had Ekalavya means one thumb, because Drona asked him to give as dakshina his thumb, so he was unable to hold the bow after cutting his thumb, but which seems quite mean to me that an acharya would do this, but my question is, Ekalavya, by watching Drona, even without being his official shishya, his official disciple, he was able to become a great bowman. He was able to do it by himself without directly any contact with the acharya. So is it possible?
By practice, it may be even the wisdom can be procured, but at the same time, it is not useful as we understand. Dronacharya prevented him from taking part in the war on either side. He will be a very good archer.
It seems strange to me. The boy became a very good archer only by observing Dronacharya without any actual contact, and yet Dronacharya wasted this boy's talent by not allowing him to be part of the war.
That's why it's like what we call open university correspondence course.
Open university correspondence course, yes.
Yeah, he had an idol of Dronacharya before him. He worshipped him every day, and therefore we cannot say that he had no devotion to the Guru. And the devotion made him the best archer. Bhakti Yoga, not only Karma Yoga, the Bhakti Yoga. The Karma Yoga with the devotion was rather concentrated.
So is it enough? Is it enough if I have a picture of Ramanujacharya and I worship it, or a murti of Ramanujacharya, a deity? If I have great devotion for Ramanuja, but I don't get some direct Ramanuja Sambandham by taking Samashrayanam from one of 74 Simhasanadipatis, can I still get any benefit from that? Can I attain moksha from that?
Your benefit will be limited. That's all. You have benefit.
Yeah, there's benefit, but limited benefit. moksha
That-
seems to be either you get moksha or you don't get moksha.
Yeah.
If you say he has limited benefit, that means he doesn't get moksha.
No, you don't get moksha.
That person cannot get moksha. But we see in the case of Vibhishana, in the case of Gajendra, in the case of Jatayu, in the case of Draupadi, none of these people had samashrinam. They had formal samashrinam from an acharya, and yet they attained moksha.
Yeah. Vibhishana is an immortal. That's all. Not an immortal. He's a Chiranjeevi. Chiranjeevi, a long-living person. He has no death, but he has no accessibility to Vaikuntha.
He has no accessibility to Vaikuntha.
Vaikuntha, yeah.
After surrendering to Lord Rama.
Yeah. Prapatti is done.
So
And,
after property, he will eventually go to Vaikuntha, no?
no, he did not seek moksha. He was what we call Rajya Akanshi. Though he was not, of course, Rajya Akanshi, he did not want the kingdom of the elder brother. He was given it and he accepted it. A person has to, real prapanna will refuse the other benefits except the preeti of the Lord.
So Lord Rama wanted him to rule in Lanka. So Lord Rama made him the king in Lanka, and that was a very good peace. That was a very good peace plan by Rama for Lanka. And so he became king because it was a kainkarya. It was for the preeti of Lord Rama. He wanted to please Lord Rama. But as a prapanna, ultimately, at the end of his life, he must go to moksha.
No, that depends upon again what I say is the aim of the prapanna. And again, when you say Draupadi, you also mentioned some other example. Draupadi did not do samashranam. The
general.
samashranam is the helplessness shown by her while she was disrobed.
Yes.
So that is what it is. The first step she has gone through, Akinchanyam, Karpanyam,
Yes.
helplessness. Of course, she has the Rakshishya, Goptrutva Varnam, she chose Lord Krishna. Rakshishyati iti Mahavishwasa which came little later. She has to combine both forms and dependent on the God for the protection.
Yes, but my point is here. My point is here.
No, I understand. Anga Prapati she has done Anga Prapati. You don't say Samashranam is not exactly the physical, what you call the mudra, the seal on the hands.
Yes.
She has done Anga Prapati. And she goes to heaven. She goes to heaven.
Right.
Almost
So,
all Yudhishthira and all other Pandavas also go to heaven.
Right.
But they cannot be called, I think, Nityasuris in Vaikuntha.
no, I'm not calling them Nityasuris. I'm just saying that this Tapa Pundra Chatonama Mantro Yagasya Panchamaha, this system of Samashrinam, a very formal system of giving the three mantras and giving all these different aspects of Panchasamskara. These aspects are not necessary to do property and to go to moksha, because some people have done it without these.
Right.
So that means we do, so actually these mantras, because Dr. Alwar has been teaching us Mumukshapadi. In Mumukshapadi, the very first Churnikas say, one who wants moksha, these three things are essential. These three mantras are essential. But I see examples of people who are prapanas, who have gone to moksha, And they haven't got these three things. They haven't got the Astakshara, they haven't got the Dwaya, they haven't got the Charmasloka, and yet they do property and they go to moksha without those things. So similarly, in this verse, it says you can get a mantra from any tradition that is a proper tradition, and it will give some fruit. But if it doesn't come from a proper tradition, then it will give no fruit. So some people say you must take this, you must formally take Samashrinam, Tapapunda Tatonama Mantra Yagas to Panchamaha, and some people say you must take from only 74 Simhasanadipatis, and some people say these things. But we have examples, like you said. We have like I said, so of people who attain moksha without this type of thing.
These are especially meant for the twice born one. All the Tapa Pundra.
For the twice born.
We have an example in Krishna Avatara. Dadhibandaha is the name of a person. Dadhibandaha, meaning the curd pot. He wanted moksha for the pot also. He requested Lord Krishna to give moksha for the pot, the mud pot, the earthen pot. The Lord Krishna gave moksha to the pot also. So even an achetana can get moksha without what we call samashrayana, without the mantras. An achetana can get into moksha. Then definitely a chetana will be without these mantras, 3 mantras, and these are all later developments of the what we call the progress of the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. And
okay, I'm very confused about how achetana can attain moksha, but at the same time, I accept the story but we'll have to talk more about how achetanas attain moksha. But anyhow, this was the discussion I was having with Govindachari about this, because some people say that the formal diksha, the formal pancha samskara is from a particular acharya is very, very important and absolutely essential for moksha. And but the system of property seems to say, the doctrine of property seems to say, and the examples in history seem to say that it is very important, but it is not essential.
this is what in Prapatti also today I heard that there are certain requirements, but they are not necessary.
I see.
Somebody was asking about Prapatti and the difference between Prapatti and Prayaschitta Prapatti. He was asking the question whether both Prapattis will include the 5 angas, 5 limbs, and the Swami answered like that. Answered the question like this: any Prapatti would involve 5 angas, 5 limbs, but whereas these requirements are not necessary. There are some requirements. They are not very important, but they are there in another form. That's what I said about Draupadi also.
Right. If we search the examples of each of the historical examples of great prapanas, we will see that actually in their property, those 5 aspects are there. But we have to sometimes look very closely to see that they are there. They're not as, it's not as formal as we do today. Yeah, I understand. So my question is, do you know of any Shastra Pramana, any Sanskrit Pramana that says that if you don't hear the mantra directly from an acharya, in the ear, if you don't directly get the acharyas to give you the mantra directly, that the mantra is not useful. Because he says here, Sampradaya Vihinam Ye Mantraste Vipala Mataha. He says the mantras without any tradition. Yeah, but tradition, Sampradaya, he doesn't exactly say that the mantra that if you didn't hear a mantra, you can't use it. Because like in Pancharatra, we perform worship in the temple. There are many mantras we use. Our Acharya has not given us these mantras. So for instance,
given.
In the temple, we worship Sriman Narayana. So we may have some Narayana mantras for worshiping Sriman Narayana. Astakshara, Sadakshara, Dwadasakshara. But we don't have any, we didn't get from mantra upadesha of Sri Devi. Mantras for Sri Devi, mantras for Bhu Devi, mantras for Neil Devi. We don't have any mantra upadesha for that. Can we worship them? Because we have the main mantra, Om Namo Narayanaya, we have Astakshara. Can we then worship with other mantras that we get in?
Yeah, the Dvaya mantra includes that.
Dvaya mantra includes, yes, correct, very good. I appreciate that answer. That's very good. Yes, Dvaya mantra includes also. So what about if I want to worship Garuda or Hanuman or Visvaksena? Is it all included because Lord Narayana includes all his parivara attendants?
This is what I observed when I was asked to perform Tiruvaradhanam for Hanuman. I accepted it because we never say the word Hanuman in the middle of the Tiruvaradhanam. All that we do is same Aradhanam of Swat Sriman Narayana. And at the end, we have either Namavali or simply a few names to worship Hanuman. And a Hanuman temple which is without Rama, for example, the Hanuman is a single deity in a sanctum sanctorum. We are not supposed to go there.
Some of the Shaivas, they worship Hanuman also because he is known as Ishwaranandana Vayuputra.
Yeah, so he is also an incarnation of Shiva.
Yeah, so some of the Shaivas, they are also worshiping Hanuman. So if in their temple there'll be no Rama, there'll only be Hanuman.
And even now Hanuman has not gone to any place like heaven or Vaikuntha. He remains in this world, sharing the name of Rama. Yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Kritamastaka Anjali.
Why Hanuman is called Siriya Tiruvadi and Garuda is Periya Tiruvadi? Why Garuda is the big servant and Hanuman is the small servant?
I read it somewhere, but I'll remind myself and then tell you.
Because for Madhvas, Hanuman is more important, and Garuda is less important. But for Sri Vaishnavas, Garuda is more important, Hanuman is less important.
It is not that Garuda is more important and Hanuman is less important. The what you call the Siriya Tiruvadi, rather the size, the size we call it as smaller. The smaller the size,
the smaller servant at his feet.
The greater the effect.
I see. More potent.
Yeah.
Okay.
For example, one comparison with Hanuman and Garuda. Garuda had pride. Hanuman had never pride.
I see.
So Hanuman is always better than Garuda. Though Garuda is one of the three Nityasuris in Vaikuntha, though he is always near him, Hanuman is a better devotee than Garuda. He never faulted.
I think we discussed before that the brothers of Lord Rama and Hanuman, and who is better than whom. That we discussed that point before. So
Right.
we can, of course, we can praise each and every devotee as being great, and we don't need to say somebody is less great, but we can praise them as being more great. So I appreciate that.
Prapatti Yoga can give us all the benefits that we may expect. It is what we call panacea for all ills. Number one. Number two, again, there are two subdivisions in the second revelation, namely, we have got what we call Abhyubhagata Prapatti and Anabhyubhagata Prapatti. The words are a little difficult to understand because they are in Sanskrit. So here, Abhyubhagata Prapatti is the Prapatti, the total surrender, is already planned, and it is accepted to get the benefit of the affection of the Lord. Another one, Anabhyubhagata Prapatti, will be we don't put any conditions on the Lord. Whatever you give me by my total surrender. And there are two or three subdivisions again there. The other point of the number 2A is Abhyubhagata and Anabhyubhagata Prapatti, and 2B is we are fixing a time for our Prapatti. Another one is another type is a Prapatti with unfixed time. The time is not fixed. We say in Tamil, Kalathai Kuritta Prapatti, Kalathai Kurikada Prapatti. That's what we can say. Time bound Prapatti and no restriction of time on Prapatti. Again, there are of course many subdivisions in the Prapatti, and therefore when you can ask immediately for moksha, that will be what we call Dripta Prapatti. Then you have got another Prapatti called the Prayaschitta Prapatti. The Prayaschitta Prapatti is after the total surrender, when the individual soul commits a lot of unwanted actions, then the sins will accrue to the individual soul, and therefore we have what we call the remedial measures, and Prayaschitta Prapatti must be performed if the individual soul does many actions which are not prescribed in the Shastra. So that is another point. Then again, what is the difference between a prapanna and a bhakti yoga nishtha? A person concentrating on the discipline of devotion. Number one is, he is otherwise called, a person steeped in devotion is called upasaka. Upasaka is what you call meditator. Number two, he is called bhakti yoga nishtha. Bhakti yoga or bhakti yogi, you can say. Bhakti yoga nishtha. Here, bhakti yoga nishtha upasaka has the only aim as moksha, whereas prapanna has the only aim as preeti of the Lord, the affection of the Lord, the love of the Lord. Again, a prapanna can say, as Nyasa Dashakam, see Nyasa Dashakam of the Vedanta Deshika, he doesn't, he is not in a hurry to reach moksha. He says, Etad dehavasane mam tatpadam prapayat svayam. So you make me reach your abode at the end of this human life. Now, the Upasaka is even now ready. Bhakti Yoga Nishta is even now ready at any time to reach moksha. Whereas Prapanna can wait. That is another way of looking at the approach. Then Bhakti Yoga Nishta, when he commits some mistakes, the prayaschittam, the remedy, the parihara, the expiation of the sins committed after practicing the discipline of devotion is not necessary. It is not, in his case, it is not necessary. But a prapanna has to necessarily do some the remedial measures in order to expiate himself from the sin. The immediate consequence of the bad actions that we do, either before prapatti or after prapatti, tells upon us immediately. The consequence is there. We can experience those bitter situations. We face some bitter situations as soon as we commit the mistakes. This is what happens in Kali Yuga also, this era. These are some thoughts that we had in the discussion.
कवितार्किक सिंहाय कल्याण गुणशालिने श्रीमते वेंकटेशाय वेदांत गुरवे नमः।